burnt wine. Doesn't sound all that appetizing, but that's what we're going to be cooking today. Thanks for coming along and savoring the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century. So this particular recipe is from a French cookbook from the 17th century, about 1650 or so. Let me read it real quick. It's burnt wine. Get a silver pitcher or a new earthenware crock. Put into it a pint of good wine, a pound of sugar, a little mace, some long pepper, cloves, a sprig of laurel, 2 sprigs of rosemary. Have a big charcoal fire. Put your crock in the middle of it with flames all around it. And when it is boiling strongly, set it on fire with a paper spill. When the fire dies down, take the crock off the fire and drink it while it's hot. Sounds exciting. Burnt wine in the 18th century a lot of times actually just meant brandy. The definition kind of changes in here, but this idea of a spiced wine continues on into the 18th century, probably with a slightly different name. Let's get started on this burnt wine. I'm using a Merlot wine that I happen to have around. This is a chance for you to experiment with flavors. They don't call for this specific type of wine here, so this is your chance of saying, let me try it with this kind of wine or that kind of wine. You can get the idea about how you want to attack this. For spices, we've got our mace, which is a cousin to nutmeg. We've got long pepper. Now you might not have recognized long pepper, but long pepper is one of those peppers that's more of a common in medieval cookery in Europe. It kind of loses favor and you don't see it referenced too much in the 18th century, but it's got somewhat of a more spicy flavor than a black pepper. So we're gonna put these long peppers in there. We've got cloves. I'm just gonna put a couple of whole cloves in. It says laurel, and it probably means bay laurel or a bay leaf. Put that in, and then we have a sprig of rosemary. Just gonna twist that here. And we also need to put in, of course, at the very beginning, we've got sugar. It calls for a pound of sugar. That seems like an awful lot to me, so I'm gonna put in less than a pound of sugar, maybe 8 ounces or so. That's something we'll have to experiment with and see what it's like when we get done. There we go. This is all put together. Let's get it over our large charcoal fire. I'm going to make sure to stir this to get all the sugar dissolved in there. And you might be wondering why they chose this particular pot. They were very specific in the kind of vessel that they wanted to cook this in. Either a silver pitcher or a new ceramic pot, a pottery piece. And really they're worried about the flavors coming in from our cooking vessel. So if we used a brass kettle or some other tinned vessel like we use so often, you'll get that brassy flavor in there, and we don't want that. So they were specific about the kind of vessels. And so some really expensive cookery would be those silver cooking items, which they had little silver saucepans, or in this case, a much more common ceramic vessel. These didn't last a long time in the time period, so that's why they called for a new one. They wanted it to be clean, unbroken, completely, so that's why we're using this. Once this has started boiling, we can take this off the fire, take our paper match, and we can ignite it. And it should continue to flame up while it's still sort of boiling. This will only ignite while it's still boiling. Once that fire's died down, we're gonna let this cool off enough so that we can drink it, but drink it while it's hot. There is our burnt wine. It's just down to a drinkable temperature. It said drink it while it's hot. So let's give this a try. Of course, it's just filled the kitchen with these wonderful smells of this wine cooking along with these spices. So I can't wait to see what it tastes like. Wow. Very, very rich and full of flavor. We've got, of course, the wine right up on top, and it's very sweet with the sugar. You could cut that back, even cut it back further than I cut it back. And then we have these spices that come in. You've got, kind of a typical clove taste that you're going to find in some other things like that. But then we add in these very interesting rosemary and a little bit of bay leaf in there. We get this really interesting peppery flavor from that long pepper. It's a little spicier, but it's not overwhelming at all. We didn't put a lot in there. And then, boy, that little bit of nutmeg flavor that you get in there with the mace, so rich, so flavorful, and warm, like a warm dessert drink for the winter. Just right here in the cold weather, this is something that you really want to have to warm you up. Such a wonderful, great flavor. These drinks from the 17th and 18th century, so interesting. Normally we do our drinks during our live stream, our Nutmeg Tavern live stream we do on Fridays at 4 every week. So if you're interested in more drinks from the 18th century, make sure to check out the live stream. I'll put a link to one of those. Check this out.